Welcome back to TECHMIMIC, where you can simply view, imitate, replicate, and get on with your day. After you have used a USB flash drive with Rufus or Balena Etcher for a Linux distribution or similar, you can end up with a USB stick that is readable in Linux, but when you place it in a Windows computer, you will hear the sound of it connecting and then that's it. Nothing at all shows up in Windows Explorer. This is because the file system on the USB drive is not recognized by Windows, and this could lead you to believe that your USB stick is now damaged and ready to be binned. But the fix is very simple. Before we continue, when working with file systems, drives, volumes and partitions, take extreme care not to delete something you don't mean to. I have a USB stick here that is no longer recognized by Windows and it is connected to a USB port. Open a command prompt by searching for it, right click and select Run as Administrator. Type DiskPart. To open Microsoft DiskPart, this is the utility that we will use for the next steps. Alternatively, you can also just search for DiskPart in the menu and run that as administrator. To list all the disks, including the USB stick that is not showing up, type list disk. I know that disk 0 and disk 1 are my internal SSDs, and disk 2 is the USB stick reported as 29 GB, but it's actually marketed as 32 GB. Now select the disk that you want, in my case that is disk 2, with the command select disk and then the number of your disk. DiskPart reports that disk 2 is now the selected disk. By the way, when you type list, you can see that besides a list of disks, you can also check partitions, volumes and virtual disks. Issue list disk again. The asterisk in front of disk 2 indicates that this is now the selected disk. Be absolutely sure and double check this before the next step, which is to reset or clean the disk. Type clean. DiskPart reports that the disk was successfully cleaned, meaning all volumes and partitions are now deleted. But if you go back to Windows Explorer at this point, there is still nothing visible. The next step can also be done from DiskPart, but first let me show you a more graphical method with the disk management utility that can be started in several ways. Search for disk management in the menu. Open Windows Explorer, right-click Disk PC, select Manage and then select Disk Management. Or simply run diskmgmt.msc. To create a new partition with a drive letter graphically, locate disk 2 in Disk Management, right-click and select New Simple Volume. Select the size for the new volume and assign a drive letter. The last step is to format the volume. Select FAT32 or NTFS. NTFS can contain files up to 16 TB, where FAT32 don't accept files larger than 4 GB. And give it a name. You can leave Perform a quick format. Click Next and Finish. After a few seconds, the volume is created and the drive will show up in Windows Explorer. You have now saved your USB flash drive and it can continue to serve its purpose. Now that we have seen this graphically, you can do the same from the command line, of course, with DiskPart. Let's delete the volume again, so we are at the same state like before. With the disk still selected, type Create Partition Primary. It reads DiskPart succeeded in creating the specified partition. Check this with List Partition. There is now a single partition of 29 GB. We only need to format it, type Format Quick. By default it will be formatted as FAT32. If you need NTFS, type format fs equals NTFS quick. And as a last step, type list volume. And there is the new volume listed as Z or Z. If you need a different drive letter, type assign letter equals and then the drive letter. type exit to close the DiskPart utility. And type exit again to close the command prompt. That's it. Hope it helped, and if it did, please like the video and keep it up. Until next time, bye!